I know the videos have slowed up. That's because maybe I'm on vacation right now. You never know. More on that to come. Look at that. So today, we're going to talk about, briefly, 3 masks that were available in the year 1980. Yes, 1980, the start of the amazing 80s. It's funny how many people hated the 80s. I'm like, were you even there? I know you were there, but how could you hate the 80s? The 80s were, to me, the greatest era next to the 70s, 90s, and early 2000s before the world went to shit. Back to 1980. Uh-oh. We're looking at 3 masks here. Now, pay attention, Don Post guys. I said available in 1980. I didn't say released, okay? 2 of these were released many years prior to 1980. The badass SARGOTH Cobra and the wicked white TIMBERWOLF. Yes. 2 of, hands down, 2 of the greatest Don Post masks of all time right here. The TIMBERWOLF came in 3 colors: white, black, and gray. Black seems to be the rarest color of all, next to white coming in second there, super rare. Gray, a lot more available, but man, still super hard to acquire. I actually let go of my gray one recently. Some people are like, how could you do that? I'm like, I don't know, I've had it long enough. White one's here to stay, and the black one is here to stay. I'm sorry, Josh. He keeps swatting that black TIMBERWOLF. He's right there. Brief video today on 3 amazing masks. Some of you might say, I don't know about that middle one. It's not so amazing, but there's an amazing story behind this middle one. Now, I believe the old count here, the 1100 line count, as in Count Dracula, there is a very interesting story about this mask, okay? Yeah, these are some of my these 2 are some of my all-time favorite masks I've ever had in my life. I think most people will agree they're 2 of the baddest Don Post masks ever created. Yes. Count, a lot of people are probably on the fence with that. But the reason I pulled the old count out for this 1980 video is it's kind of special. Plenty of other masks we could be putting in this trio right now, but this one's got to be here for a really crazy reason. Many years ago, this mask popped up for sale. Okay, in one of the groups, when Facebook groups were real primitive, you know, we're going way back now to the beginning, the old days of Facebook mask groups. Okay. And someone puts this count up for sale. And I said, man, I want to buy that mask. I think it was probably $300, $350 at the time. It was foam filled already. I'm pretty sure it was foam filled. And real nice example of the count mask. I never had one at that point. And so the really cool thing about this mask is it was accompanied by some paperwork, okay? This is here. The count. Don Post. Documentation, $700 value purchase, $700. I didn't pay $700 for this mask. Anyway, came with some cool documentation. One being this cool magazine article on the actual Bela Lugosi character, Count Dracula. The other, though, was this special letter right here. I'm covering up names and addresses here, okay? This is cool. So I remember buying this mask years ago, and it came with this letter, with a cool letterhead with a stamp on it, right? A stamp that is now very familiar to me. And the letter was addressed to a guy named Joey, who I know now is a guy by the name of Joey Farrell, who's no longer in the hobby. The gentleman that sold this mask to Joey was a guy by the name of Frank. And apparently he has a collection known as the Franken Shrine. And I remember reading this letter and staring at it, and it's really old. Like this thing was sold. Oh, it's got Frank embossed his initial, like embossed them in the paper. Frank was a class act. He was a librarian. He was all about amazing documentation and handwriting letters, typing letters. So this, to me, is so cool. This was years before I really even knew about Frank, knew who he was. Other people knew of him, of course. But this is from Frank, from the Franken Shrine. He sold this mask to Joey in 1987. Okay? And this letter, October 2nd, 1987. Dear Joey, I hope this brief letter finds you in very best of health and spirits. Thank you for your order for the Count. I hope you enjoy him. I'm sure he will enjoy you. This particular copy is from the very first release, 1979. That's right. They did two versions of this. And has superior quality hair, not available in subsequent copies. So Frank probably got this thing custom made at Don Post for him by Rob and Kathy, probably. I bought this copy myself, and it has been in my personal collection up until now. I'm pretty sure you will find the hair matted after packing and transit, and I suggest you give it a careful brushing. The Count has an intentional resemblance to Lugosi, but was produced after Don Post no longer had the rights, and the Lugosi estate would no longer grant permission for the use of the Lugosi facial features or image, thus entitling this piece The Count. Was their way of getting around this. Most collectors agree that the Count is the next best thing to the impossible to find Lugosi Draculas, the two amazing copies I showed you recently from Frank. Well, one was from Frank's bedroom, the plastic bag masks, the Rick Stratton painting. That's what he's talking about. This is 1987. Frank is saying those are impossible to find. Hope you will enjoy this. Another Don Post out of production mask. This is going back to 1980s. This is when I was graduating 8th grade. I just graduated 8th grade, and Frank was selling masks to guys. We'll hold that Phantom for you next. Phantom. You know what that is? The Be Something Studios Phantom. It's Phantom, but they spell it Phantom. For you next, with its unofficial resemblance to the London After Midnight Vampire. Mine has very little resemblance to the copies that followed, which weren't as nicely done. An interesting aside, a Phantom mask appears on the cover of one of Clive Barker's Books of Blood. Frank... all of us that know this stuff, it's like Frank knew it long before we did. Wish I could remember which volume it is. Anyway, $35 takes it. Right to your door. Holy shit. $35 to your door in 1987. Best regards, Frank. The Franken Shrine. Man. So isn't that cool? I would stare at this letter for years. And I would just sit there looking at it and read it and I swear to God, I would say, wonder who this guy is, this Frank guy. It's so crazy to me when I think back to the days of looking at this letter, wondering who he is, not even having a clue. The crazy story the crazy, not even having a clue to the amazing journey that was going to come years later, where I would meet Frank, buy a real deal Vern Langdon zombie from him, and become great friends, you know? So that is just something crazy, and I had to share it with you in this short video. So, yes, back to the masks of 1980. They're not the masks of 1980, they were masks available in 1980. And I believe, like Frank said, this debuted in 79, 77, 77, I'm pretty sure. And those of you that like the band Kiss meets the Phantom of the Park, is that the movie's name? Where they were all over the roller coasters and stuff, and they're chasing these guys. Remember, Kiss was battling all those wolf people. These are the masks, the Don Post masks they used in the movie. I remember watching it on TV and thinking, man, those guys are scary. And they're just Timberwolf masks, you know, it's so funny. But I'm not a big Kiss fanatic. Yeah, I like some Kiss songs. I'm not one of these crazy Kiss psychopaths like some of my friends are, but so if I screwed up the name of the movie, I'm sorry, but I was there back in the 70s watching it on TV or whenever the hell it did debut. But yeah, this is a really great copy of The Count. It looks better than I remembered it looking, because it was kind of, I thought I had one with a lot of freckling going on, but actually this is a really great copy. And the one that followed later, they re-released him, the old Count, maybe in, man, was it 83, 84? It did not look like this one. It looked inferior to this. So this is a good one. Definitely, if you guys ever see one of these pop up, this is like the first version of the Count, you know. Not the rare Lugosi's I showed you the other day, but you know, you may want to jump on it if you find one. This one is here to stay. It's got documentation from the Franken Shrine from 1987 that I would stare at and go, who was this guy, Frank? And I'd think back like, wonder what he was all about. You know, and man, oh man. Speaking of the SARGOTH, those of you that were on eBay recently, you'll know there was an amazing silver version from 1983, the really rare, not as rare as the Chris Wallace version, but super rare. The green one is rare. The 83 silver version that debuted in the 83 catalog is really rare, and I finally scored one. I scored the one that was on eBay, and it's pretty damn nice. That mask, I had a real tattered one I was going to try to restore, and I said, I got no time for this. I sold it. I cannot believe I scored one. It's going to be here Monday. I'm not even going to be here to get it. I'm going to have someone come get the package. And maybe my sister will come grab it. But when I'm back in town, we're going to do a whole video dedicated to that silver snake, because it's going to get foam filled. Look at the foam fill job on this one. You know who did this. Mascahuna filled this thing, and it's crazy how beautiful he gets the shapes on these things. So I am going to work with him on restoring that mask. It only has one tear in the neck, like a cut that could be easily seamed shut. Oh my god. And I'm going to have Mascahuna foam fill that sucker. And if I could have that thing side by side with this mask, it's going to be one hell of an eBay purchase. So, god dang. Anyway, thank you guys. 1980s in the house. And great masks. Cool little story. And coming next week, there's going to be a lot of videos coming. Many. I'm going to roll a film. I'll be shooting a lot of shit. And who knows by then if I'm going to be getting threatened with a lawsuit from an eBayer out there who threatened to sue me, which is crazy. And over some alleged bullshit. And basically it was my expression of opinion. Do you know what that is? Do you ever hear that? But anyway, great stuff here. Thank you for watching. This is just a quick video. a little trip down memory lane to the 1980 Don Post catalog. And what a year for masks so far. It was starting off with a bang. Then some weird shit started happening out there. And maybe we're all going to be back on track now. Stop! Maybe we're all going to be back on track. And things are going to get back to normal. Maybe. And some nice masks should be rolling in. So, thanks again. And I will see you soon.